Okay, so I just watched the new 2022 Barbarian, and this is going to have spoilers. So do not watch this if you haven't seen it yet or you don't want the spoilers. If you have watched it, then I want to hear what you thought too. So in the comments, please tell me what you thought so that we can respond back and forth to each other. Okay, so overall solid movie. And the thoughts of when I was eavesdropping when everyone was coming out of the movie was that they all thought it was very scary. Some said more creepy than scary, and that it was overall like good solid horror movie. And so the theater was full too. And I'm not even watching it on opening weekend or anything. So good solid turnout. Okay, so it starts out, we have Tess, who's going to, she rented it through Airbnb. So it's modern day. She's going to this neighborhood late at night to go to this house that she has rented. And so we don't get to see a lot of the neighborhood when she pulls up. And it's raining, So she goes to the house, and it's yellow and like bright and sunny and cute. Appears to be that way in the dark. So she goes to get the key out of the lockbox, like what you use at an Airbnb. And at first the lockbox doesn't work. So you're like, oh. And then she does the lockbox again, and it opens, and there's no key in it. So she goes back out to her car. She double checks like all of her instructions. And she then goes back. Or a light comes on in the house. So she goes back and she's like, someone's there and they're in my house. So that I paid for. So she goes, bangs on the door, and then he answers it. Keith, I think is his name. So he answers the door, and she's like, I rent this place. And he's like, I rent this place from home away. And so he has this creepy element to him now. So you're thinking, oh, he's going to be the bad guy. So, and there's like, he just the way he responds and the way he's like kind of has a creepy element to him, and you kind of feel like he's not being fully forthcoming, so you think there's going to be some secret to him later on. So he tells her to come in so they can figure out what the heck's going on. So they both, she asked to see his instructions to prove that he's supposed to be in the house, and he's kind of like yeah. So he finally shows her. And sure enough, he was supposed to be in the house. So then they come to an agreement that she will stay in the house too, since she's nowhere else to go. And so, because it's late at night and it's stormy, all that kind of element. And so it has a spooky element. The house is really cute though, a nice little 1920s bungalow kind of look to it. And so he is really sweet, and he's like, you take the bedroom, I'll sleep on the couch. And he even like washes the sheets for her so that she has nice clean sheets. Yeah. And so he has a bottle of wine there, and you're thinking, that there's something off. But then he makes her tea, and she won't drink the tea because she's like, yeah, something's up. So she won't drink the tea. And so then finally he says he wants to open the wine and wanted to offer her a glass, but he knew she wouldn't drink the glass of wine unless she saw him open the bottle, because he can tell that she is not trusting him. So they open the bottle of wine, they end up chatting and figuring out, kind of a connection that they have through work, and have a good time. And so then it's time for bed. She has this big interview tomorrow for a documentary that's being done, and on like Detroit underground music scene kind of thing. So he goes to go help her make the bed, because he's washed the sheets and stuff for her. So he does this hilarious thing where, you know how hard it is to get the comforter into the duvet cover? So he does this hilarious thing where he like puts the cover like over his body like he's a ghost, and he's like holding it, and then she's supposed to hand him the comforter part, where then he does this funny like duvet dance where he tries to get the duvet cover over the comforter, and it's really quite funny. So then like you're kind of starting to like him a bit more, and you're like, man, he's not such a weirdo. But then like she's like, okay, thanks, and he just keeps standing there in the room that she's supposed to be sleeping in, and you're like, okay, dude, you're getting creepy again, like go on, it's time for bed. So finally he leaves, and she like falls asleep, and then all of a sudden she hears something, and her door is open, and so she's like freaking out, like how did her door get open? But I also do not remember seeing her lock her bedroom door when she went in there after she'd been drinking the wine with him. So I don't think she locked the door before she lay down to go to bed. But anyways, so the door is open and she can hear something. So she goes out to go check it out, and it's him on the couch, and he's having a nightmare, and like a really bad nightmare. So she says his name and touches him just slightly, tries to get him to wake up. He doesn't wake up. So then she, kind of like takes her hand and like, shakes him to try and get him wake, shakes his arm trying to get him wake up. And he wakes up then, he's like, what are you doing? Standing over me while I'm sleeping. And so, and she's like, sorry, you're having a nightmare or whatever. And so then he's kind of freaked out. And so then she goes back to bed and she wakes up the next morning. Okay. So then she goes and he's already left. But he leaves her a note like, had a great time with you, see you tonight, that kind of thing. No big deal. And she smiles when she sees it. She's like, oh, I had a good time too. So then she goes off to her interview and goes, and the interview goes pretty well. And then the lady that she's interviewing with asks her where she's staying. And she says she's staying at this Airbnb. And she says the name of like that suburb that she's staying in. And the lady's like, yeah, don't want to be staying there. And she's like, well, it's no big, it was fine. And I have a roommate. And so she then goes to go back to the house. And this time she's pulling into the neighborhood, and it's daylight and we can see it. And every house is like run down, crappy. I mean, weeds growing all over everything. All the windows are boarded up. Like, it's really weird. And so like you're looking at it going like, girl, no one would stay there. So, but she goes ahead and decides to go stay there. Yeah. So she goes in, she's, goes to go to the bathroom, and there's no toilet paper. So she goes searching for the toilet paper, and then finally sees my dog is going crazy because I'm not paying attention to him. But anyway, so she goes down to the basement to go find toilet paper. And she's down there, and then she sees this weird, like, rope in the wall. So she goes in, and she, like, starts pulling on the rope, and it opens this secret door. So then she goes, of course, into the secret door. Well, she props up a mirror to try and get some light in there so that she can kind of see. So she goes in there. Yeah. And this is like a creepy, like hallway, like kind of like cave-ish. So it's natural rock that has basically been tunneled out. And so she goes down in there and finds this little room off of the tunnel hallway, whatever you want to call it. And in it, it's this really like old, almost like hospital looking metal bed, like little twin bed. And it has this gross mattress on it. It's like disgusting. And then it has a bucket in there, and then a video camera, like an old school video camera on a tripod, like total creepy crap. So she's like, what the heck? Like, so she goes out back into the main basement room, and then goes to leave and realizes she's gotten locked in. She doesn't have her phone with her, of course. So she's stuck down there and is trying to figure out a way to get out of there. So there's this one little basement window, those little bitty kind of rectangular ones that aren't very big. So she's down there, and finally he comes back, and she's like banging on the window, trying to, get him to notice that she's down there. So finally he does, and he's like, what the heck are you doing? And so then they finally get that little basement window open, and she gets to crawl out, and she has the key to the front door. So she's like trying to explain to him, like, something is freaking going on in this house. So she goes, and he insists they have to go back into the house, plus all of her stuff's in there. So they go back into the house, and she's like, we got to leave now. And he starts like kind of blocking her way to leave, and starts being like, okay, let's figure this out. And she's like, you don't believe me, and all this kind of stuff. And you're like, oh my God, he is a bad guy. Like, he's about to do something. because he won't let her leave. So he's like, let me just go check it out. And you're like, oh. And he's like, just stay here and wait till I go check it out. And you're like, oh my God, he's going to somehow lure her down there in the basement and then trap her in there and he's going to kill her. Torture her, keep her down there, whatever. So he goes to go down there and sure enough, he doesn't come back out. And then she starts hearing yelling. Yeah. So she goes back down there and tries to prop open the door this time. She goes down into the basement, goes down the hallway, and then she can hear him. And then, so sure enough, there was another door going even further down into this like cave tunnel thing. So finally she gets to him and he's like freaking out. And he's like, there's someone else down here. Like, I think he says it bit him or something like that. So he's freaking out and he's like, we gotta, go this way. So he's telling her to go like almost like deeper into the tunnel instead of like this other way. And so she's like, no, we gotta go this way. And then like in this like another one of their disagreements or, you know, discussions, all of a sudden this creepy giant size naked lady comes up. And she just starts bashing his head against the wall. And so she kills him. Yeah. So, like, yeah, he dies pretty quickly. So she then is trying to escape and she rolls over into this area, which that's another thing. Down there, there's these, like, they almost look like dog crates, but they're bigger and they have, it appears to be like a dog bowl in them or something. So she, and there's all these other metal gates off, like, that kind of seem like they would close off the tunnel. So she goes over into this area where the gate then this gate thing, like, closes on her. So she's freaking stuck down there and you're like, oh, shit. And you can hear her yelling. So you're like, oh, she's dead, you know. That didn't take long. And so then it cuts to, then I think we go back in time. And it's the same neighborhood, but it's all like beautiful and all the houses are amazing and the perfect little lawns and everyone's waving to each other. It's like Pleasantville, you know. But this guy coming out of the house that Tess had been staying in, he comes out and he's like has a creepy element to him. So then we see him going to the grocery store and he's buying all this baby stuff. And he says that he's going to do a home birth at his house with him being, they're not going to have a midwife. He's going to somehow deliver this baby, I guess. And he's getting, you know, plastic sheeting and latex gloves and diapers, like all this weird stuff. So we like already like, I don't know about this guy. So then we see him like stalking this lady that's leaving the grocery store. And he follows her to her house and then all of a sudden pulls these coveralls out of his trunk and this like work bag and goes and knocks on her door and says he's with one of the utilities. And so then he goes into her bathroom claiming he's checking it and he leaves the window unlocked. Yeah, and then he leaves. And so then you see him pulling back up to the house, that Tess, like the original house in the movie. And you see him unloading stuff. So you know something creepy is going on. Like this dude's gonna go kidnap that girl. And so then we have, then it cuts to this guy who is in Hollywood and he's getting accused of rape. So they're canceling his screening or shooting of the film that he's trying to do. And then they're also like, the story's going to come out in, I can't remember, it's like a Big Shot magazine, like People or E-Weekly or something like that, Entertainment Weekly. And that's going to say that he basically raped this girl. So then he's like, we got to shut this down and everything. And in this phone call that he's having while he's driving this convertible down this beautiful beach scene. And so they're saying that he's fired, that he's not going to get to do the movie anymore. So then we see him then go meet with his financial advisor, and he's like how much money do I have? How long can I make it? You know? And the financial advisor's like, you got like 3 months. And the guy's like, well, what about my properties? You know, those have to be worth something. And he's like, yeah, they're not worth that much. Like, they might like get you an extra month or so. And they don't all make money, you know. So then the dude is like, we see him like getting on a plane to go check out this property that he has. So then he goes into the rental management office that manages the property for him, and they give him the key. So then he goes into the house, and Tess's stuff is all still there as well as keys. And so he's like, what the hell? Someone's squatting in my house. You know, so he calls the management company, and they're like, no one's been there for weeks. And so, like, slowly he starts kind of figuring it out. But then he goes out drinking with a buddy and confesses to the buddy that he was, quote, very persuasive in getting the girl to sleep with him who's accusing him of rape. And so you start kind of questioning whether he did rape her or not. So then he goes back to the house, like, and he's drunk. He goes back and he wakes up the next morning. He's like hungover, and so he's like puking in the toilet. So then he sees the bathroom bag of, I don't know if it was Tess's or the guy's, but so he sees the bathroom bag, and then he's like, I'm going to figure out what the hell is going on. So he starts snooping through all their stuff, and then he remembers the basement light was on. So he's like, he gets a flashlight, he gets a knife. It's pretty funny. It's like a little steak knife. He's going to go down there and find out who is staying in his house. So he goes to go down there and sees the rope in the wall, pulls it, goes back, sees the creepy room, like, and is yelling, like, get the heck out of my house. I have a gun. I'm going to shoot you. He doesn't have a gun, but. So then he goes down there, and he finally runs into Tess. And so Tess is like the creepy, oversized, naked woman. She's like, she just wants you to be her baby, so just pretend. And the creepy woman is like handing this bottle down through this like grate above them, and they're supposed to like drink the bottle and like let the creepy lady pretend that they're her babies. So, but he won't do it. So he gets yanked out of the little holding cell thing he's in. But it gives Tess a chance to try and escape. So Tess starts going to escape, and he, meanwhile, like keeps going further into the cave thing. And then somehow he gets away from the creepy lady and finds this other area with another secret door. So then he goes back through that and finds so it's the man who we saw in the flashback who is buying the baby stuff and everything. We see him in this creepy old bed. And then meanwhile, we see Tess actually escaping from the house, and she gets help by a homeless guy that she had seen earlier that creeped her out. But he like busts the window for her and helps her get out. And is like, you can't go back to that house. And she's like, there's a guy in there. We got to help him. And she gets to a gas station and actually calls the police asking for help. The police are refusing to help her because they think because she looks like a druggie off the street. I mean, she looks like a mess. And she's not exactly making sense because she's so freaked out. So meanwhile, we then go back to the house and we see him going down the new secret door, going back, finding the creepy old man from the flashback. And he's like, he's got to be like 96. I don't know. He's really old. Like all of his hair's almost gone. He's like gross. And he's like bedridden. And so the guy's like, at first, the screenwriter and actor, he's like, I got to help rescue. This poor old man has been like chained up and locked down here by that weird, oversized, naked lady. And I got to help him get out. And so he thinks the guy's asking for water and stuff. And instead, the guy's so he can't figure out what the guy wants. So he scoots the bedside table over closer to the bed. Meanwhile, so the old man is like digging in there looking for something. And meanwhile, he sees all these old VHS tapes. And he starts looking at them, and they like have on them the names of different girls. And then also like weird things like puker or redhead from gas station, like things like that. So he's like, kind of like, what the heck is going on? So then he pushes the current one that's in the VHS thing. He pushes it in so that it automatically starts playing, and we don't get to see what it is, but we hear a girl screaming and stuff like that, so we know it's not good. So then he then looks back over at the old man, and he's like, what have you been doing? The old man, what he was looking for in the bedside table was a gun. So the old man all of a sudden has this gun, and he's freaking out thinking the guy's going to shoot him, and instead the guy points the gun at his head and kills himself. Yeah. So creepy old man kills himself. So then we go back to Tess trying to get help. She can't get help. And so she then goes back to the house. And at this point, he and her, he's like escaping now. And she's there too. And the weird, creepy old lady has now come out of the like basement window thing, or she comes out of the house kind of. So then Tess, who's gotten the keys to her car, goes and rams the old lady into the house, like crushes her in between the car and the house. And so then he then comes out, Keith, or not Keith. So this is the new guy, the actor. And so then he comes out and she's like, we got to get out of here, you know. So they start trying to leave, and all of a sudden the old lady is missing. So then they're like trying to get out of there. So then she goes back and goes and finds the old man who had originally helped her, the homeless guy. So they find him, and he tells them the story that the guy that had lived there had kidnapped women and then kept them down in the basement and had babies with them. And then he had babies with their babies and then babies with the next baby. So basically 3 generations of women, which I was trying to do the math, and I was like, that's like 15 plus 15, like 30 something years. It'd be like 45 years that he was having babies with these women and his own children. Yeah, so incest. Yeah, it's so weird. So anyways, and the guy says that because of that incest and the creepy guy, that's what he created, basically, is the kind of demonish giant naked lady, is one of the creepy old guy's kids. Yeah. So then we go to, and he says, they're like, well, aren't you scared that she's going to come in here and get you? And he's like, I've been here for 15 years and she's never come in here and got me. And then all of a sudden she busts through the wall, grabs the homeless guy, squatter, who was helping them, and basically rips his arm off and starts beating him with his own arm. And so then they start running. Oh, and I forgot that the movie guy actually accidentally shot Tess. I forgot, back at the house. He accidentally shoots her. And so she's like, he like takes off running kind of without her behind. Like she's trying to tag along with him. And he's the one that shot her and she can't keep up. And he's like yelling at her to hurry up. So he's running off or running up all these like metal stairs to go to the top of the little area where they had found the homeless man, which it looks almost like a grain mill-ish kind of area. And so they're running up to the top, and they get to the top, and sure enough, the crazy giant naked lady comes up there and finds them. And he's like, we can't escape. And he was like, but you can slow my escape. And so then he takes Tess and throws her off the top of the grain mill thing that they're on, telling the giant naked lady, go get your baby. Because basically Tess has been playing along, pretending like she's the lady's baby so that she won't kill her. So then the giant naked lady jumps off the thing, trying to catch Tess to keep her from hitting the ground and dying. So then he looks over the edge, and sure enough, the giant naked lady had somehow gravity like had her fall faster, and she ends up under Tess and breaks Tess's fall. So then he goes back down and is trying to find the gun that he had dropped, that he had accidentally shot Tess with back at the original house that we started this movie with. So then he sees that Tess is still alive, and he's like, okay, I'll kind of try and help you. But then the crazy old lady then comes back alive, and then, yeah, so then she starts like stroking Tess's face and like saying, my baby, like all this weird stuff. Meanwhile, Tess is trying to get the gun, and Tess then is trying to shoot her, and then the movie star guy ends up getting killed by the giant naked lady. And so then it ends with Tess actually escaping and walking out of there, trying to get back to the gas station that she had found before. Yeah. So the ending was good because Tess did win, and she was the good girl. I mean, she was less evil than everyone else in the movie, basically. Kind of like she was a good girl. And it's actually, the ending is good because the movie star apparently was a rapist, and he like tried to sacrifice Tess so that he could get away. So yeah, we know he's not a good character. So we're kind of glad that he has died. And then now we're glad that the giant naked lady has been put out of her misery, and hopefully the poor creature is resting in peace somewhere. Yeah, I hope. Yeah. So anyways, it was definitely a good movie, but kind of convoluted. And it had so many twists. Like, you know, we have the creepy guy staying in the Airbnb, first of all. And then we think he's the evil one. And then we have the creepy giant naked lady. And then we have the rapey movie star guy. And then we have the creepy old man that originally had the house back in the 20s, hidden down in the cavernous area, hidden in the basement that goes way back, like miles and miles and miles. I don't know how long it goes, but it's a long ways. Like, to take the manpower to make that tunnel would be crazy. Like, that, there's no way that guy could have made that. So then we have that creepy guy, and then yeah, it's like, how many little red herrings are you going to put out there for us to think that they're the real demon, the real bad person? Yeah, because we got multiple bad people. 3 different bad people. Yeah, 3 different bad people. But they all got what's coming to them. So, definitely a good movie. I would give it, I think I might give it 4 out of 5 stars. Because I did like the twist. I liked that Tess won. There were I think there were 9 jump scares in it. And the jump scares were pretty good because at least 4 of them, not just me, but there was multiples of us that screamed in the theater. Like, we were all screaming. So that was good. The jump scares were good. The music was good. It had a good soundtrack that fit it very well. And Tess was, yeah, the actress did an amazing job. I really liked it. And even the rapey star guy did good too. Yeah, definitely good. And it was good. The unbelievable parts that weren't very believable was how far this tunnel went down in there. Yeah, that was just very unbelievable. And the giant naked lady was a little unbelievable. Like, even if incest caused mutations and weird stuff like that, it was still a supernatural element to it as opposed to her being a real person. So, yeah, it was kind of weird that everything else was like true kind of not supernatural parts to it, but then they decided to make the giant naked creepy lady supernatural. So that was odd. Yeah. But anyways, I liked it. It was definitely good. 4 out of 5 stars.